Priyadataji asked me to come over. He said a very important thing, which is very important for all of us. He said, if we don't take risks in life, we don't do anything better. So, for a long time, whenever you would meet me, you would remind me, risks are very important in life. I keep repeating, Bharatiya Janata Party is fundamentally a leadership development program. Netritva Vikas Karyakram hai.
Okay.
You are a trained commando as well, right?
Yes. Risk की बात की थी ना, only one of and when everything is going well, I took another risk. This was in 2003. No, please don't get personal.
No questions. They know about it. They'll understand me.
हाँ मैम, आपको तो सब पता है, पर्सनल हो जाएंगे, बड़ी मुश्किल हो जाएगी. आप मेरी जनरेशन खुद देंगी. Now I'm on comfortable ground. Familiar ground. Whether there will be opposition, of course there will be opposition. And the opposition has so many forms. And democracy is about handling dissent.
Hello and welcome. Today we have with us Uttar Pradesh's Social Welfare Minister, Asim Arun, a first-time BJP lawmaker. 8 months back, he was an IPS officer. There has been criticism of his khaki to khadi switch, as some suggest a cooling off period. But after becoming a BJP lawmaker, in fact, even just after the counting was over and he was declared a winner, he started doing an unusual thing, cleaning the area where the counting process was on. Not just that, he then walked over to his Samajwadi Party opponent and shook hands with him. Was he trying to set an example or kind of trying to convey a message that educated people can make a difference in politics? Was it a part of effort? We will find out from him.
So it wasn't so much about giving a message, but it is about being myself and at the same time involving more people. And if I've learned something good somewhere else in this country, in this world, why not imbibe it and try to pass it on to others as well.
Did you try to create more such politicians? Will you try to encourage more politicians to, do similar?
Well, I mean, that's for other politicians to judge whether they would like to shake hands after the election or not. But I would surely like to do it each time I'm in a contest.
But did you do the same in your earlier service, like as a cop? Did you do that in your work sphere? And cleaning, did it have a different meaning at that time? I'm referring to cleaning the department of dead or dishonest people.
Right. Again, I feel very confident when I'm talking about anti-corruption measures, because in all my previous positions in the police, I worked very hard on that. Particularly when I was DIG/SSP Agra. That was a time when the Anna agitation, the Andolan was going on, and everyone was charged, motivated. I was also motivated. So I introduced a very bold anti-corruption movement within the district police. People liked it, the police liked it, and I'm not sure how much of it would have sustained after me, but I feel very satisfied that while I was there, I made very serious efforts to clean the department of corruption.
How smooth was the transition from, say, service to, like my colleague said, from
Khadi to khadi.
I can say that it has been a very quick one.
Quick one.
I took VRS on 15th of March, January, and by 15th of March the results were out. So it was just about 3 months. But those 3 months were very challenging. It looked very difficult. Of course, when the suggestion came from the Bharatiya Janata Party that I may consider joining the party, I gave it a thought. There was a lot of difference within the family. Hardly anyone agreed. But gradually I understood that this is a very interesting offer, suggestion. The path is certainly not easy, it's difficult, but it's a great opportunity. So it is full of risks. I'm sure the future will also be full of risks. But this was a path, this was a task worth taking. So I took the plunge, and I'm glad I did it. And with God's grace and with a lot of help and advice and support from friends like the ones in HT, I could win the election. And I understood after going to Kannauj that it was a tough constituency. I did not know how tough it was earlier, but I think we could make it. And again, by God's grace, I have a very important responsibility of the social welfare department. With the department itself is about helping out the poorest of the poor. And this is what used to bother me in the police. Every day I would be helping about 80 to 100 people, and they were also needy people. But this was just about emergency response. But helping out people in depth, trying to transform the lives of complete families, that is something which the police could not do, or I as a police leader could not do. But in Samaj Kalyan Vibhag, we have so many schemes. In fact, everything is concentrated on livelihood, education, health, so that we uplift a family altogether. That is the objective and that is the challenge. If I can make a difference to this, I would be so satisfied that my decision was right, and the 5 years I spent in government at this stage would be hugely satisfied. So that is the challenge and that is the opportunity.
We will talk in detail about your schemes. But then there has been this criticism, and you are well aware of that. Just 3 months prior to becoming an MLA, you were an IPS officer. And there has been this huge criticism of this, whether there should be a cooling off period, and there has been. So what do you make out of this?
There is an arrangement in the All India Service Rules for somebody who retires or takes VRS and joins a private sector organization. I think it's a 1 year period where you cool off and then you join a company, because I think predominantly it must be because of some kind of conflict of interest. So you are fully aware of what internal policies are, what next policy measures would be, and you go to a company and start helping them. That's why I think the cooling off arrangement exists. But there is no similar rule for somebody who's taking VRS like myself and fighting an election. Fundamentally because I think there has been no instance of misuse. I am one instance. If I am perceived to be an officer who was creating a political ground in Kanpur and then fighting the election there, or trying to help the BJP now with whatever policy insights I have of government, then I am sure a demand would arise that there should be a cooling off period. So if my conduct is good, if my conduct is above board, there would be no such need. I guess until now there has been no such demand or cry. So such a rule doesn't exist. But if it goes wrong, in my case or in somebody else's case, then I'm sure demand for such a cooling off period would be raised. It might be justified as well. But at this stage, this rule doesn't exist because I guess there has been no instance of misuse. Well, I mean, it's a little more complex. Somebody takes VRS and fights an election as an independent candidate. So does the rule attract in that case? The situation would be different. So if it's a ruling party, it's an opposition party, then it would be again different. If somebody takes VRS fights a Rajya Sabha election, the situation would be different. So it's a little complex, but fundamentally it's about whether there's a conflict of interest or not. So in my case, I can assure you there is no conflict of interest. And in future, if the society feels that way, then I'm sure such a rule will come in. But again, that's in the girth of
curiosity about who contacted you for the ticket, who offered you a ticket. Because BJP, there are levels who take a decision.
Right.
And there's so many officers who are doing good work. So why they offered you tickets? So two things.
Right.
Who contacted you, offered you ticket, and why? Before Rohit will have some questions to ask.
Right. True. It was indeed a surprise for me when such a feeler came to me. In fact, it came more like a humorous input. I was asked, you belong to Kannauj and we don't have a strong candidate for Kannauj, so can you suggest someone? So I said, I belong to Kannauj, but I'm not in politics of Kannauj. In fact, except my own couple of relatives, I don't know anyone in Kannauj who's in politics. So thank you for asking me, but I have nothing to suggest because I'm not in this field. And then, just as a joke at that stage, if you don't suggest anyone else, then the person who was suggesting, I'll tell you, I'll feel your name itself. So I laughed it off, obviously. But then gradually it developed. This was discussed in a group of about 5 senior people that this is a possibility. And then again, a more serious feeler came to me, which I said no again. Then I was called to Lucknow. Asked me to come over. He said a very important thing, which is very important for all of us. He said, if we don't take risks in life, we don't do anything better. So for a long time, whenever he would meet me, he would remind me, risks are very important in life. And that's a lesson for all of us. Second, crucially important thing which I learned is what is leadership. You are my leader if you are able to generate a spark in my life. You are able to generate a dream in my life. I might have a broken knee, but you convince me that why don't you try climbing the Mount Everest? I said, no, I have a broken knee. You said, see, so and so did not have legs and he or she climbed the Mount Everest. I said, oh, really? Okay, in that case, I can also give it a try. So leadership is fundamentally about evoking some hope, some desire, a positive desire. And that's what Bharatiya Janata Party did for me. And that's a lesson for all of us. You're also a leader. I'm also a leader. I'm a follower as well and a leader as well. So that's what, if we are able to evoke positive hope and desire in people we try to lead, then we are successful.
Why BJP? There are other parties also.
True.
BSP is there.
One, because BJP was the only party which made such a suggestion. And I'm not the first one. In fact, in my own batch of IPS, IAS, I'm the third. 94 batch. First was my batchmate Aparajita Sangi. Second, my batchmate Ashwini Vaishnoji, who is the minister and IT minister. And similarly, if you look around, you'll find so many retired army generals, police commissioners, diplomats who are actively contributing to governance. Some might be in active electoral politics like me, some might not be in active electoral politics. I keep repeating, Bharatiya Janata Party is fundamentally a leadership development program. Netritva Vikas Karyakram hai. People who are in the party for decades, they get trained every year, if not more. So we are constantly polishing the rough edges and making our leaders better. The party also has a lateral entry scheme for people like me. So the party chooses people with some specialization or some other virtue. So it would be inappropriate to enlist my own virtues here. So the party, I guess, finds some virtues and invites people over. So that's how it happened, and this is a very big strength with the Bharatiya Janata Party. As in contrast, if you look at other parties, to answer the question more directly, why did other parties not invite me? Because most other parties are about family fiefdom. So if they invite someone who is professionally competent, who has influence over a geographical area. So I think they're too scared that they would be compromising their own position at the top. So they would look at somebody like that as a challenger. Whereas Bharatiya Janata Party has a large band of leadership. It is always eager to involve more people.
And professionals. Perhaps they're encouraging professionals on positions in power.
And you will notice Sri Sunil Bansalji, as he moved to Delhi, he mentioned this in his first speech, that we have to improve the quality of our workers, Karyakartaon ki gunvatta. And that's what he means here. That not that the workers who are present have anything lacking in them, but we need more diversity, we need more variety, not just in terms of social backgrounds, but professional backgrounds as well. And there are so many journalists who are part of the Bharatiya Janata Party. Some are looking at the media vertical, some are not looking at the media vertical, but making their contribution.
Just one
and
more
people
question.
people also move out of Bharatiya Janata Party back to their professions. So this is, I guess no other parties succeeded at this, but this is what is crucially important for a democracy. People coming in, people going out also happily and working maybe from the background. So the BJP has worked out this well. I think it's a beginning. We will do more of this, bring more specialization into policy making and governance.
Just one question before I'm sorry I'm taking too much of time.
No, please.
Is your transition complete, or your uniform still, beckons you, attracts you? Just one thing and then
I think the transition is complete, but my uniform is still in my cupboard and it will be there.
Do you wear it sometimes?
No, of course not.
No,
I'm not allowed. But it will be there, well polished until the day I would have retired.
What was the scene like? Fine. You were approached, and then when you went home, I mean, you have an educated home.
Yeah.
सब कुछ बढ़िया चल रहा था जिसको कहें, good cushy job, बढ़िया salary, good life. तो क्यों आया? कैसे आया? Because perhaps at that point in time you never knew that whether you would be winning the election. It was a difficult election in that sense because it was a different terrain.
Any election would be unpredictable, including
and then you would not know that. Yeah, and that
Kannauj.
Yeah, political territory was different. So, कैसे मतलब? How did you? What was the? Tell me something about what was going on in the family.
Right. My family has no politician in our midst until now. So my father was also a police officer. He too was offered, an active role in politics many years ago, which he refused. But here, I got an offer, a suggestion, and I agreed to take it on. So this was a big surprise and a shock to the family initially. We discussed it, and when I said yes, from most of the family members, it was a 50-50 or a no. Because again, as I said, the crucial word here is risk.
Yeah.
So who would like to take a risk when everything is so comfortable?
Exactly.
But if we are looking at my life or my family's life selfishly, a comfortable life is what we all desire, and I had it, and there would have been higher positions as well. But here now I need to travel so much, I have a constituency to take care of, I have to work harder. And again, there's a risk. After 5 years, there's a big risk. But at the same time, if you balance it, there's more than the risk, there's the opportunity. As a police officer, as somebody part of government for 28 years, I always used to feel that in most of our projects or schemes, we are imperfectionist in our approach. Anywhere in India. Why can't we run a Samudayak Shauchalaya properly? Or why can't we run a complex project like a medical college properly? Or in my case, boarding school properly. So, I see this as a big opportunity on myself to bring in perfectionism into governance. The projects, the schemes which I am responsible for, if I am able to bring them closer to perfection, I would be very satisfied. If I'm not able to do that, I have no one else to blame.
In the last 28 years जब आप यूरोप में रहे तो what was the most challenging point or situation that you have come across, and if you want to share with us कि मतलब कौन सा ऐसा situation है सबसे challenging रहा?
Well, as an event, Rohit, you were also there. We had a terrorist encounter in Lucknow in 2017.
Yes, that was right.
So, as an event, I think that was a very challenging point of time, given the threat, the situation. It was election eve, so it was a very challenging situation. But thanks to a very well trained group of commandos which we had, we worked very hard in training them for more than a year. We were able to handle the operation in a very controlled fashion. No losses from our side, and we were able to bring the operation to a close. Although it took 12 hours, we tried very hard to get the man alive, but we could not.
So at times said it was
Unnecessary
extended to for a period.
True. That's let me put it more bluntly. When we are going through the operation, some of my own colleagues from police who are not used to special operation like this, they would say that what kind of a commando operation is this, where you're afraid of going in. So that's one way of looking at it. The other way, the modern, the more professional way of looking at it is that in a special operation like this, I had trained all my boys and girls in this case, we had female commando as well, to handle operations in a highly controlled fashion. So we are not trigger friendly people who are looking at dropping people dead. We are looking at catching people alive, because a terrorist alive is better than a dead one. Usually you hear the other way around, but when we get somebody alive, we get so much information from the person. Of course, then we present the person in the court of law, and we hope and pray that the person will be dealt with very seriously, which is the case. So here we tried very hard. We used chemical agents, we used probe cameras, we even slid a phone underneath the door with Saifullah's father on the line, who spoke to him for more than 45 minutes, tried to convince him. But it did not work. So it took a long time, but we are content with that. Finally, we had to storm the room because we could sense that he was now likely to come out of the room well armed, shoot at people, and create a situation like the ones we've seen earlier. For example, I think in Chitrakoot we saw a scene where gangster was holed up for a long time. Emerged out and actually I think escaped also. Or maybe shot down later. But with collateral damage and
yes,
damage
there
as
is a
well.
lot of damage.
So we were coming to that stage, and then we decided we have to storm the room. So again, to end the operation in a controlled fashion. So usually you see operations where we would like to bring an operation to a close within seconds, but this was a different situation and we dealt with it accordingly. It was widely appreciated in police circles as well, and with God's mercy, kindness, the team of commandos and myself, we were all awarded by the President's Guarantee Medal.
You are a trained commando as well, right?
Yes. Risk की बात की थी ना, only one of the and when everything is going well, I took another risk. This was in 2003. It had been on my mind for a long time. I wanted to challenge myself physically. The National Police Academy training was good, but it would not really challenge me physically. So I always thought, let me undertake a more challenging training course. And the most challenging was the National Security Guard's Black Hat Commando course. Specifically speaking, Police Commando Instructors course. So I volunteered for that. The NSG refused because in their policy, this course was meant only up to the level of sub-inspectors. So, yes, but I must thank NSG, particularly Shri Deepak Mishra ji, who is a retired officer of 84 batch. He specifically changed the policy for me. He said an IPS officer has applied this is our fault that we have not included IPS officers for the training. So we cannot reject him. We will change the policy. So NSG changed the policy and then took me in. It was a tough course indeed, as I thought so, but I could complete it with good grades. And so I was the first one at that stage. And then my junior, I must also mention very proudly, Prabhakar Chaudhary, was also VP Cadre's second officer to do it. So until now,
Two officers.
The department is supposed to be a very big department with very limited funds. So,
not really. It's a big department in terms
because
of
we
manpower and very big in terms of budgets
funds also. Okay, but every year,
23,000
every year we hear that funds are not being are not available for scholarships. They are delayed. Sometimes left. There are lapses also. So just your vision, your basic understanding of the.
Let's deal it in two parts. One, there are a number of establishments which Samaj Kalyan deals with, schools, hostels. So we'll talk about later. The second part is, which we'll discuss now, is about number of schemes where we hand out money, scholarship, old age pensions, and a couple of other similar schemes, Vivah Yojana. So here we are not short of budgets, but the change which we are looking at here is better scheme targeting. Simply speaking, there are some people who are still able to take advantage of these schemes who are not eligible. Patrata nahi hai. At the same time, we are losing out some people who are eligible. Patrata hai. This is called scheme targeting. So scheme targeting has really improved over the last 5 years because of use of direct benefit transfer and Aadhaar linking. Let me give a specific example now for Vridhavastha pension, for senior citizen pension. मतलब वो मांग भी नहीं रहे हैं तो वो बेमानी भी नहीं हुई उनकी एक तरीके से. ये हमारी कमी है कि हम उसको फिर भी पैसा चेक नहीं कर पाए. So about 2 lakh deceased persons have already been identified. So this exercise is going on. At the same time, there will be so many senior citizens who would not know that we are undertaking such an exercise.
Yes.
They might be old, they might be infirm, they might not be aware. So for that, we have set up our government machinery. And we are going to each and every home, visiting them, asking them for their well-being, and also linking their pension with Aadhaar. This we think will take another 2 months, and then this process will be completed. So we would have led to not perfect but very high degree of scheme targeting. This we have to do for scholarship as well. Scholarships are a little more complex because there are so many courses, there are so many institutions which are working on this. There have been scandals which have been noticed in the past. By making it all online, we have become better. But for the first case, for senior citizens, we have introduced a elder helpline, elder line. Number is 14567. Not very difficult to remember. So anyone whose pension is stuck up or they feel there's some issue, they don't need to do anything else. They can call 14567. The operator has access to their data and they would be updated of why their pension is not arrived. So because at this stage I feel a number of such cases would happen. But in 2 months we would have resolved all this and we would be on the better side. Similarly, we are in the process of setting up a contact center for scholarships. Because again, there are so many universities, so many courses, so many students. So it's really pretty complex there. But again, once we set up a contact center, and I say contact center because they will be calling, there will be WhatsApp messaging, email. People can contact us through various means, and then we are able to resolve the problems. The other part is, and this is a very interesting thing, for almost all our beneficiary schemes, we are going online. Whereas in a number of cases, for example, Vridhavastha pension, the poor beneficiary is not online. We have gone online, so there's a gap. So how to bridge this gap? For which the government has introduced a functionality called Gram Sahayak in each Gram Panchayat. They paid a honorarium, I think 6,000 rupees, and they go home to home, village to village, identifying people who are left out and help them out. So in the case of senior citizens, we have given exact list to each Gram Sahayak. These are people in your village who are eligible, who are drawing old age pension, but their Aadhaar verification has not been done. So please go there to the houses and do it. And people are actually doing it. I'm delighted to inform you. And that's why I'm confident in 2 months we would have completed this exercise almost fully.
When you say you have sufficient funds, so you mean that all the eligible persons, they are getting scholarships or pension or everything, they are covered?
Eligibility for scholarship is in 3 parts. One, scheduled caste, scheduled tribe students studying in government institutions. So they are eligible for scholarships. Lack of budget will not be an issue. If we run short of budget, which we don't, we will ask for more. This is like a government assurance. The second is, my ministry doesn't deal with OBC and minorities, so I'm not talking. Second is the general students. General students studying in government colleges, assurance isn't there, but practically everyone would get a scholarship. The funds start drying up when you talk about students studying in private institutions. Again, there are 2 categories. One, students who have qualified through a competitive process, an exam. And the other category is what we normally call management seats. A different name, but basically there's no transparent competitive process. So all the problem begins with the last category. Okay. So the government of, and you'll agree with the policy, the government of India also says that people not coming through a competitive process should be discouraged from scholarships. And I guess we'll all, that's fair enough. But the colleges have also understood this now. They have really decreased the management quota and they take students only through the competitive process. Boarding schools, Avasi Chhatravas, which are called Rajkiya Ashram Paddhati School. Ashram type schools, ATS. So, from one ATS. So, this ATS has 94 schools. I take this up as a great challenge, as an opportunity to turn around these schools. The schools are running well, but not as great as possible. So we are putting in resources, we are bringing in more teachers, and most importantly, we are bringing in great new processes. We are working with successful private school entrepreneurs, NGOs, a number of CSR operators. So in the next 6 months, we hope to bring about a perceptible change in these schools. And when we complete 1 year, I'm confident that there will be a long beeline of students
wanting to
seeking admission in our schools. Because this is crucially important for a family. If we are able to bring one boy or girl into our school from a needy family, educate the child from class 6 to class 12, and post class 12, send the child to a good educational institution, send them abroad for education, we would have transformed the family forever and given the family, the child, so much of pride. There are a number of successful examples, but I would like every child coming to our Ashram Paddhati school to emerge a winner. We hope to do it, and we have a lot of support. I'm sure everyone will agree with me on this, that this is the best possible intervention one can do to achieve what Dr. Ambedkar famously used to call equality of opportunity. So, and similarly, there are other enterprises. We have hostels, they call Rajkiya Chhatravas, predominantly for SC/ST children. But happily, we don't keep children from only one community in one place, because that's not right. We have children from OBC, children from general as well, so that there is diversity, there is mutual respect. Again, some of the hostels are in very good conditions, some are not. The government of India, Modi ji has introduced a lovely project, a yojana called Pradhan Mantri Anusuchit Jati Abhyuday Yojana, AJAY, PM Ajay. Under this, there is another scheme called Babu Jagjeevan Ram Anusuchit Jati Chhatravas Yojana, which is specifically for these hostels. So Modi ji understood that there is a gap in finances for these institutions. So there is adequate funding now to create new such hostels and to refurbish old ones. So this is another great responsibility and opportunity, because these hostels don't teach students. They are like just like accommodation. Specifically speaking, a girl from a village does a class 12 for, let's say, a place which was 5 kilometers away from her house. But now she has to go to a degree college which is 25 kilometers away in district office. So
Every time she could not come back home.
some families would not allow for various reasons. But here we give the child an accommodation, a safe place to live, eat, go to college and come back. So these hostels have a critical role now, and they will have a critical role for a few more decades.
One thing more, untouchability is a major issue, and it has come up in schools also. It has been reported from all over the state. There have been so many incidents where children were subjected to humiliation. So I don't know whether your department looks at it or not, but do you think this is an issue which you would like to address?
Right. Well, it does generally in terms of raising awareness, but specifically since I am also temporarily holding charge of chairman of the SC/ST Commission, so that directly looks at these things. Now, caste as an institution has been so resilient that it has changed forms. Even in our own lives, we see it has changed forms, but it is far from vanishing away. So sometimes we've noticed occasions where some form of untouchability or some form of prejudice appears. Together, as a society, we have to condemn this, encourage positive behavior, punish the criminal acts. And that's what the society is doing. The Bharatiya Janata Party government, Yogi-led government, is very clear on this. There is zero tolerance for such behavior. The party, our slogan is Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas. So it's not just a slogan, we actually encourage, invite everyone into the fold, and we work for every section of the society, particularly the self-respect of every individual. But occasional incidents do pop up, and we deal with it with the severity it deserves.
But SC/ST Act and the law, that has been diluted over the years. Don't you think there is a need to make it more stringent? Because by Mayawati, when she had done, it had come down. Such cases had come down. Then the act was diluted by, I think, Samajwadi Party government, and it continued like that.
Well,
she herself diluted.
She herself also diluted.
The act, it's a central act.
Yeah, central act.
So there is no dilution in the act itself.
By instructions, by way of instructions.
By way of implementation. Now, for example, there was if I remember correctly, during the SP government, an order was issued that before registering an FIR under SC/ST Act, a preliminary inquiry must be done. Now, this is patently illegal, so that order was struck down. So, as of now, we've only strengthened the SC/ST Act. We have increased the muawza which we give to people who are victims. Now, but we need to have more strong frameworks. We've seen great improvement in law and order in the last 5 years, but mostly in terms of violent crime. But this is a social crime. So this has also come down. Environment is better. Is the work complete? No, it is work in progress. So we need to look more strongly at this. And here, the role of our entire justice sector is very important. Because somebody says something abusive to someone on caste lines. Now, this might appear to be a small offense. But what are the chances of this person getting convicted and spending even 30 days in jail? It may take years, if not decades, to get there. So, the government is now working on speeding up the judicial processes so that we step up the next ladder of justice. You'll be happy. The NCRB released its data day before yesterday online. The book is yet working, but all the data is there. So, for cybercrime, for crime against women, for crimes under POCSO, the country is leading. We are number 1 in the punishments.
But we are number 2 when it comes to crime against women. Rajasthan and then UP.
No, in terms of convictions.
No, conviction we are topping.
Yes.
But crime against women happening, incidents, we are number 2.
So, very high level of conviction is a great thing. But we need to step it up further because our numbers are huge. So when this cycle is complete, police has taken action, the punishment is done, they spend time in jail, jails are not pushy. Then when the person comes out, then the wheels of justice have moved completely. So that is what is happening, and I'm sure we'll see really great results in the next few years.
One part was left actually about the pensions, because you also must be visiting villages, and in every village you will find some applications for coverage. So what about that? Because I think that people are not covered, all eligible persons are not covered with the pension and also what you...
I mean, in governance we call it scheme targeting.
Yeah.
So scheme targeting is still an issue. It will always remain one, but we have to become better at it. So yes, when we go to villages, we find people, particularly very old women, who are not covered under the umbrella. So for them, we have started a scheme called Sarkar Aapke Dwar, where we set up camps in the villages, tell people in advance, involve the community leaders, and list out people who are we are missing out as beneficiaries. And then we bring, as the word says, Sarkar Aapke Dwar, we complete the process. Within 5 days, we give them the approvals, or we tell them that you are not eligible and close the process. So, and in this, the institution of Gram Sahayak is growing very heavily. This youngster who is usually a girl, sometimes boys, they are very useful in going house to house.
Is there any exact number of beneficiaries of these schemes or something?
Well, for Vridhavastha pension, it's about 68 lakh beneficiaries. So, I can give you other statistics as well. No, please don't make personal.
No questions. They know about it. They'll understand me.
हाँ मैम, आपको तो सब पता है, पर्सनल हो जाएंगे थोड़ी मुश्किल हो जाएगी. आप मेरी जनरेशन खुद देंगी.
Quite a few private engineering colleges mushroom on your welfare schemes. They rope in students of the SC/ST or economically weaker just to exploit that. Also that. How you plan to put a check on?
What we're trying to do is nothing new, nothing innovative. It is already in the guidelines, but we are not doing it well. The guideline for scholarship says that the students drawing a scholarship should have a minimum attendance of 75%. But currently we ask the school for attendance. So college attendance dega hi acha. So now we are introducing biometric attendance, and Aadhaar has a biometric attendance system of its own. So we are in consultation with Aadhaar. It's all ready. Very soon we'll pilot it in a couple of institutions. So this is biometric attendance which nobody can tamper, forge. So when students have to come to the institution, put their thumb, and I presume go to the class and study as well. This, again, it's a matter of scheme targeting. It would become better. The other aspect here is, are the colleges teaching properly or not? So that we haven't included at this stage, but when we reach the first stage, and once we achieve the attendance system properly, we'll introduce this.
What about when we talk about social justice, we talk about quotas also. And there was an exercise by Rajnath Singh government to do sub-quotas.
Quota within quota.
Anything on that front right now? You are looking at who's getting the...
Yeah. Well, when that ordinance was issued, it was quashed quite quickly by the court. Because any such change has to be in the constitution. So, while such suggestions have been emanating, but in my ministry, at this stage, there is no such.
Has your ministry got something to do with the social justice committee report that has been tabled with the government and has been there with the government for the last 1 year?
Which report?
The social justice committee, which again has
Congress has been demanding.
I'll have to look into it. I'm not aware of it. So maybe I'm new in the game. So let me study it. Now I'm on comfortable ground. Familiar ground.
So after this means
BJP has set the target of 75 seats for the 2020.
No, 80 seats.
80 to
That is the revised to 80.
75, 80 इसी पे चल रहा है.
नहीं 80 में से 80 होगा.
80.
और आपका है कन्नौज is a focus area, will remain a focus area in the 24 battle.
Everyone is getting benefits from, let's say, PM Awas Yojana, CM Awas Yojana, or rations, scholarships, everything. So it is the neediest people who draw benefits, and this will be the only issue in 2024 election. The contrast will be huge. The Samajwadi Party has led governments which were steeped in corruption. If you look at recruitments done under Samajwadi Party and recruitments being now done under BJP, here Yogi ji, tasks STF to look at every exam कि cheating नहीं होना चाहिए, paper out नहीं होना चाहिए. And what used to happen under Samajwadi Party government, you are fully aware. पुलिस में तो रिक्रूटमेंट ही कितने 15-20 IPS ऑफिसर कितने समय सस्पेंड रहे इस सब चीजों की वजह से. So the just give you one example. The contrast is stark. If you look at the Congress and the BJP, if you look at Modi ji and Rahul Gandhi, the contrast is again equally stark. So
what about BSP?
I'll come to that one. So the contrast is stark. And again, delightfully, our democracy has matured. And the media has played a very important role in that. Social media has played a role in that. Yes, if you contrast with BSP, again, the contrast will be even more stark. BSP has had its virtues earlier, but now, as an organization, they're so weak. We've seen this in the latest election. So, our target of 80 out of 80 is a very realistic target, and I'm sure we'll achieve that.
So
including Kannauj.
So Modi ji gave the call, the BJP leadership gave the call of Congress Mukt Bharat. You are actually raising the call of opposition Mukt Bharat.
Not at all. See, opposition is crucially important, and
But you are writing everybody out.
No. I mean, see, as a BJP leader, as a minister in government, I understand what the government is doing. I understand what my party is doing, and we are not being overconfident, but we are chasing a strong, realistic target, and we are sure we will achieve that. Whether there will be opposition, of course there will be opposition, and the opposition has so many forms, and democracy is about handling dissent. So the party handles dissent. Party handles dissent within the party also and outside also. So, and there are very definite mechanisms for that. Particularly in Bharatiya Janata Party, I'm pretty new, just about 8 months into the party. But I see no decision here is made by one person. For every decision, there's a group of 4, 5, 6 people. Layered process. And layered as well. And feedback from a number of sources, due diligence as you would call in business. So it's very systematic and democratic internally and externally.
How do you think position yourself into these two challenges?
बिल्कुल हम लोग की पोजीशन बिल्कुल विपरीत है. जैसे मैंने कहा, हम विकास पे कार्य कर रहे हैं. केंद्र सरकार के चुनाव की बात करेंगे तो राष्ट्र की सुरक्षा की बात होगी, विदेश नीति की बात भी होगी. हम इस पे कार्य कर रहे हैं और इसी से संतुष्ट होकर के मोदी जी को दोबारा आशीर्वाद उन्होंने दिया और मुझे पूरा विश्वास है कि तीसरी बार भी आशीर्वाद मिलेगा इन्हीं वजह से. इसके विपरीत जो लोग आज भी मुस्लिम, दलित, यादव, ये सब कास्ट पॉलिटिक्स के बारे में सोच रहे हैं, उनको जनता लगातार नकार रही है. वो इस गणित को लगाते रहेंगे, उनका गणित कभी भी सफल नहीं होगा. क्योंकि आज उत्तर प्रदेश का नागरिक, पूरे भारत का नागरिक बहुत अच्छे से समझ गया है कि असली गणित है कि सामाजिक परिवर्तन क्या हो रहा है, उसको शिक्षा, स्वास्थ्य, सड़क, सम्मान, सुरक्षा ये चीजें मिल रही हैं कि नहीं मिल रही।
Now, Mayawati, whatever you may say, is the tallest Dalit leader as of now in the state, if not in the country. And she still has some control over them. And she's the one who united them. They were earlier with Congress and other political parties. Don't you think that vote bank would always remain a challenge to BJP?
And how, just to add to her question, and how far your own caste
Well, you don't have BJP, you don't have
matters
a
in
leader.
the overall BJP's perceptions?
देखिए, मैं बहुजन समाज पार्टी की बहुत सारी नीतियों की आलोचना कर सकता हूँ, करूँगा भी, लेकिन आदरणीय मायावती जी का मैं बहुत सम्मान करता हूँ और उन्होंने जितने भी काम किए, लेकिन सबसे बड़ा काम किया उन्होंने पूरे दलित समाज को बहुत सिर ऊंचा करके चलना उन्होंने सिखाया और जहाँ पे लड़ाई की जरूरत थी वो लड़ना भी सिखाया और इसके लिए मैं उनका हमेशा सम्मान करता हूँ, आगे भी करूँगा। लेकिन इसके साथ ही साथ मैं कहूँगा कि वोट बैंक पॉलिटिक्स गलत है, क्योंकि अगर हम अभी शेड्यूल कास्ट अनुसूचित जाति वोट की बात कर लेते हैं, अगर किसी का भी वोट का ठेकेदार कोई और हो गया तो फिर ये व्यक्ति हमेशा के लिए कमजोर हो गया। और मैं तो बहुत नया हूँ राजनीति में, मैं कन्नौज में गाँव जाता था, देखता था, तो मुझे अनुभव होता था कि जो अनुसूचित जाति के मोहल्ले हैं वो विकास में पीछे छूट रहे हैं और कुछ पार्टियां उनके मोहल्ले में प्रचार करने भी नहीं जाती, बढ़ जाती हैं कि ठेकेदारी किसी और को देकर के अपना सबसे बड़ा नुकसान कर दिया। ये केवल अनुसूचित जाति के लिए, अन्य वोट के लिए भी है। और मैं हर एक व्यक्ति को अनुरोध करूंगा कि आप किसी भी वोट बैंक का हिस्सा मत बनिए, अपना निर्णय लीजिए, जो विकास की राजनीति कर रहा है, जो आपको सुरक्षा देगा, जो आपकी अगली पीढ़ी को और अच्छे अवसर देगा, उसको वोट दीजिए। और हम अपने आसपास ऐसा होता हुआ देख रहे हैं। तो आपने स्पष्ट सवाल पूछा, मैं इसका स्पष्ट जवाब दूंगा। अगर अनुसूचित जाति के वोटर की भी बात हम करें तो बहुत बड़े संख्या में भारतीय जनता पार्टी को इस बार अनुसूचित जाति के लोगों का वोट मिला। कारण ये भी है कि बहुत सारे प्रत्याशी भारतीय जनता पार्टी ने खड़े किए, कुछ प्रत्याशी सामान्य सीट से भी खड़े किए और जब जीत के आए तो 8 मंत्री भी बनाए गए और सब अपने अपने क्षेत्रों में अच्छा कार्य कर रहे हैं। लेकिन इसको मैं भागीदारी के रूप में देखूंगा, इसको विविधता के रूप में देखूंगा, डाइवर्सिटी और इंक्लूसिविज्म, इसको मैं वोट बैंक के रूप में नहीं देखूंगा। क्यों? क्योंकि भारतीय जनता पार्टी ने कोई चुना नहीं है, यहाँ पे सब कुछ है, हर तरह के हमारे इकाई हैं, मोर्चे हैं, प्रोफेशनल भी हैं, सोशल कॉन्टेक्स्ट में भी हैं, जिसमें हम सब लोग को जोड़ रहे हैं। हमें बहुत सफलता मिली है, भविष्य में हमको और सफलता
इंक्लूसिवनेस की आप जब बात करते हैं ना, नॉट एज सोशल वेलफेयर मिनिस्टर but as a politician who represents Kannauj and that belt, and you have been in Kanpur also where there is a substantial Muslim population. Where is that inclusiveness for 19% Muslims?
Quite substantially. One, if you look at not just the Muslim but all the minorities.
All the minorities, yeah.
With better law and order, better security, nearly zero criminal rights, the minorities feel safer. Some years ago, when there was a festival, your headline would be, so and so festival passed off peacefully. Now the headline is, so and so festival was enjoyed with festivities, or it was observed in this manner. So now this question is almost gone, that festival is equal to possible conflict. Why? Because the minorities have their space in the society. वो माइनॉरिटी का जुलूस निकल रहा हो या मेजॉरिटी का जुलूस निकल रहा हो, सरकार, पुलिस, प्रशासन दोनों को बराबर व्यवस्था देती है, दोनों को बराबर सुरक्षित तरीके से निकालती है और जहाँ पे आवश्यकता है उसमें सक्रिय योगदान भी करती है, उसकी खुशी में शामिल होती है। एक्टिवली पुलिस भी कम्युनिटी पुलिसिंग के अप्रोच के साथ काम करती है एट अ लार्जर स्केल। दूसरा, आप अगर छोटी बात भी करें तो कहीं पे गांव मोहल्ले में पहले झगड़े होते थे, अब मुजफ्फरनगर राइट्स को याद करिए, क्यों हुए? एक ईव टीजिंग को लेकर के बात शुरू हुई, उसके बाद वो बात बढ़ी तो एक डबल मर्डर हो गया। उसको भी हमारी बहुत अच्छी अधिकारी मंजिल सैनी और सुरेंद्र सिंह कंट्रोल कर रहे थे और कर लेते, जैसा मैं सुनता हूँ। उनको रातों रात ट्रांसफर कर दिया गया, जिसकी वजह से सारा विश्वास हुआ और फिर वो इतना बढ़ गया कि सरकार के हाथ से निकल गया और स्थिति बिगड़ गई। आज ऐसा क्यों नहीं होता? क्योंकि वो ईव टीजिंग की स्टेज पर ही उसको हैंडल कर लिया जाता है। अब वो ईव टीजिंग, एक्स लड़का वाई लड़की के साथ ईव टीजिंग कर रहा है, दोनों में से किसकी धर्म जाति क्या है इससे कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता। एक बच्ची है, उसके साथ बदतमीजी हो रही है, वो किस समाज से है, हमारा कानून का पहिया बराबर चलेगा। Why? Because there's so much of talent within the party. I think there are 8 practicing doctors who are in the group of MLAs. So if we are looking at any policy related to medicine, we're not just dependent on the bureaucracy. We have 8 MLAs who are, who have great practices, who are with homeopathy or who are with Ayurveda. So we use their services. Just to give an example, we have equal number of engineers amongst us, and just not just by education, people actually who did jobs in software and elsewhere. So as a Sangathan, we give policy direction to the government. If you look at our Lok Kalyan Sankalpa, and if you look at any other manifesto, you will feel the difference. The professionalism, the specialization with which our Sankalp has been designed. It's not just a bunch of promises. We know that these are promises which we have to keep, which will have financial consequence, which might need new legislation. So everything in the Sankalp Patra was achieved last time and shall be achieved this time as well in a phased manner. Well, see, conceptually, economies see their expansion phase and their contraction phase, and because of COVID, we saw contraction phase in the economy. So, but these were external features. The government handled it with all its might by increasing the number of jobs, by putting money in the pockets of the people in terms of Kisan Samman Rashi, by free rations. So people had more purchasing power. When they had more purchasing power, they were buying more goods. So our factories were running well, and we had labor working in the factories. So that's one way of kick-starting the economy in its contraction phase. There are many other things which the government is doing constantly to keep inflation in the check, to increase employment. But a critical factor here is about skill upgradation.